Okay. Hmm. Where'd that come from?
I don't know.
Can I have some ice cold water?
Where'd you get that?
I got that for you.
I know, where?
Martin else. What, buddy?
Adele. Hi. Sorry, I got surprised with a new mug. It's real cool too. Like, look, it doesn't have a handle. Isn't that bomb? I'm here for this. I was a little taken off guard because I didn't know. He got me a new mug. Hi. How are you guys? Okay, let me see my. Sorry, I was on that side when I was doing my team huddle, and then Brian was like, "You need to switch over here because you have stuff." I do have stuff. So what? Because he's joining me tonight. Why do we look dark on YouTube? It's kind of weird. I don't know. We're on.
Good.
How are you guys? Are you like all fired up, lit up, excited?
What's up,
I'm
guys?
gonna pull my phone up.
Me too.
Why do you two?
What? Oh, I thought you said put my phone up.
No.
I have to put mine up so it's not a distraction.
Yeah.
What's up, guys?
Okay, hold on. We haven't done this in a long time.
We have not done this.
So I will say this is partly inspired by you guys because everybody that we met at reunion was like, "Oh my gosh, I love when we do it together." Thanks a lot. No, I'm just kidding. It's good.
Made me feel good.
Made Brian feel good. Y'all made Brian feel real good if we met at reunion. Made him feel real good. So, okay. Shoot. Here we go. Here we go.
When I lean forward like this and you lean back, my head looks huge.
Okay, for all of you that I didn't see, I'm super sad too. There were so many people we freaking missed. So.
Okay, you can do that for so you can see questions.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Why is it not? It's not how I have to hit this. Yeah.
Oh, no. Inception.
Sorry, y'all. Okay. Sorry.
She was up higher.
Kim, I'm so glad we got to take it. Well, I can put it up there. That's where I usually put it. Let me do. Yeah, I need to go up there.
Probably.
Otherwise, I just have to look at it the whole time. Other fun news. Everybody that we said hi to and got to take pictures with. It was really great to meet so many of you.
Yeah.
Like, the bomb.
For sure. Oh, is that all the way back?
It's all the way back.
Okay.
It's all the way back. Okay. So, well, first of all, welcome. If you're, oh wait, I need to be able to see. Hold on. I screwed this up already. Nope. Sorry, guys.
Sorry, guys.
Take a week off and I forget how to do this.
A couple of times since then.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Oh my God. Sorry, we were
Yeah, Ashley, we're the same way.
What?
She says, I always see the same people all week, and there's some people I never see.
But seriously, like there were
There's some people we saw out every day.
Right.
And then there were other people that we never saw.
So what that makes
we're
me
still looking for.
Right. What that makes me think is like, and I don't know, this is a theory. It makes me think that the way they like change seating
is like kind of moves the
like,
same. But we would see people like in the hallway.
Well, that's true, yeah.
Or in the hotel lobby or something like that. So yeah.
It's so weird. There's so many people I never saw.
You said Allison's head was huge. Well, it is. Look at it. So we're side by side right now. I don't know if y'all can tell.
No, we're not. So rude. Also, part of the reason I brought him on is because I'm trying to lose my voice. Literally.
Intentionally?
No.
That's what you made it sound like.
Oh, I'm not trying
to. I'm trying to lose my voice.
I'm not trying to. But literally from the first night of reunion, and it's not getting worse. I'm not sick. It just kind of is this weird.
You're not what?
Sick.
You said sad.
Okay.
I think it's way high up there, though.
It is. Can you push it down? Yeah. You can move it. You do it.
Is that on camera? No? Is that a weird angle?
That's a weird angle, but it's fine. It's hard.
Oh, yeah.
You're hearing every word twice. Anybody else?
Oh, well, no. Is anybody else hearing every word twice?
Nobody wants that.
Oh, is that microphone turned off?
What you talking about?
There's a microphone on that and right here.
Yeah, it only uses one microphone. It's using that microphone.
Is anybody else hearing every word twice? Is it like an echo?
It doesn't seem like anything else is. Okay.
I'm
So
not. No. Okay.
I
Good.
don't. Whoever said that, I can't see your comment anymore. I would maybe just go out and come back on.
Yeah.
Try. Maybe
Yeah.
not.
Usually, if there's a little issue like that, although we have been known to have our issues on here, video usually with Wi-Fi.
I love my cup, baby. That
We
was
live,
so
out,
nice.
we live out in the country.
Did you just buy it because it's cool? It feels like I don't have a hand.
No, I bought it because it says you are amazing.
Oh, sweet.
It's got cool verse on it.
When did you buy it?
Today.
When?
I went to Margaret's. It was right by that house it was in. Okay.
All right, we're sorry. We're
So let's
stalling.
do this. We have exactly 222 people make a wish. It's 222 somewhere.
So welcome.
Welcome.
You've found yourself at Online Steps of Success, where our biggest goal for you is for you to dream big dreams, work smarter, not harder, and change the world, yours and people around you. So I'm really glad that you're here. Oh my goodness, there is so much to talk about.
So much.
So much to talk about that I don't even really know where to start. Oh, I'm Allison Dalkey. This is my husband, Brian.
Yeah, like when we were sitting down talking about, so we'll brainstorm. Usually we do it a couple days ahead of time, but it's been since getting back, it's just schedule's been crazy. So we have literally today we sat down at the office and we're like, what do we talk about? We couldn't narrow it down.
Where do we start?
So she was like, well, why don't you come on with me and we'll just talk about anything and everything. It's like, okay, great. So
Anything and everything, which means who knows. Okay, I want to talk about, well, I want to ask you, what was your
interview.
favorite, and you missed some parts of it. So he didn't miss parts of it because he's not good.
Missed parts of it because her phone took a poop.
Well, yeah, my phone died and he had to give me a new one. And then also, what was the other thing? Oh, you had to go get pizza for our team, and he was always doing something.
He's running errands.
But you were there a lot. So what was your favorite part, favorite piece, biggest takeaway? Like, we had some incredible speakers this year.
Yeah.
I was very
So
impressed.
I love Seth Godin,
He was all over the place.
but he's all over the place. But that's how he writes. So if you know, what's funny is I had no idea what he
Well-
looked like. I've read multiple of his books, and he walks out and he looks like, I can't remember what the commercial was or what, but like the little bald guy that dances and does all the stuff. There used to be a commercial. Anyway, that's what he reminded me of.
Yeah.
And he's wicked smart. So he talks really fast and he can jump from one thing to another
Wow.
and then go back and then do this. And he encompassed about 6 of his books. Only 3 or 4 of them
Uh-huh.
I've read in that talk. And I looked over at her at one point. And I was like, I hope people are staying with him because
It was so good.
his points are great.
It was
His pictures were hilarious. And the way he tells a story is actually really good. It just, sometimes he's a little jumpy because I think he's probably ADD.
maybe.
And he has 10 narratives going on in his head at all times, and he
That's
hits
really
on each
good.
one. But he was one of my favorites. But then James Clear was
James Clear's okay. So I will say, when James Clear presented, his content is unbelievable. I was tired that first night because it was the first night. It was 8:30. We were all tired, I think. And I think he was the very best when he was off script a little bit.
yeah.
But his content is so good. And one of the things that I think I want to do for next week is look at, which I read Atomic Habits earlier this year, but look at Atomic Habits and some of the tips he gave and coincide that together with the best way to run your business. So basically put some habit stacks together where you're stacking habits, sort of like a power hour, but a more, I don't even want to say more intentional, but a more crafted, power hour, really around habits. So that's one thing you can look forward to next week. I wanted to do it this week, and then we got home, and it was just
Well, James Clear is so disciplined in his structure.
Yeah.
When you read his book, it's not impossible. But when he started instituting a lot of these habits, he was a college kid, wasn't married, didn't have kids, didn't have a lot of real world responsibilities. Actually, he was in high school when he first got injured and that all happened. And he's maintained those throughout his adult life. As an adult, and we are stuck in our ways and we are, call it what it is. We have habits that we it's really hard for us to get out of because we've done them a long time, or our structure in our schedule just isn't as habitual and disciplined as his might be. But there are still a ton of things you can take away from
Well, one of the thing that I love the most about Atomic Habits is really the second part of this book when he talks about creating your habits around the identity that you want. And so, and it's kind of the same thing like remember when Nick did that incredible video and told all of us that we are recruiting rock stars or whatever? That's essentially you training your brain, right? Retraining your brain to believe that that is who you are. And so when we can put habits in place around the identity that we want, that long term is what helps you grow a business that's successful and literally shifts the momentum of what you're working towards. So
yeah. Atomic Habits is what the book's called. Yeah, 1% Master. I love that point. Like that point is incredible. And then the last person, and maybe what I thought was the coolest presentation.
Well, you didn't see Amanda Gore, but whatever.
I didn't see Amanda Gore.
I'll talk about Amanda Gore in a minute.
I only saw the end of Amanda Gore because that was the day her phone took poo.
Yeah.
So
he only saw the giant hug from Amanda Gore, so he didn't know.
Yeah, and I fully expected her to come away from that traumatized.
And I loved it.
And she was like, that was awesome. I'm going, oh my gosh, my introverted wife, where did she go?
I just loved it.
But Colin O'Brady
it was so good.
Was
you know what?
phenomenal.
I don't think I took a single note, and I'm a note taker. I did. Oh no, I did take notes. But I was so engaged in his story. Like I was just like, there were times.
She said, there were times where she was like holding her breath.
There were times when I was like,
she's like, is he gonna make it?
Well, I know.
Like he's right there, and she's like, I know, but
I wasn't thinking
he might die. I don't know. So it was just incredible. Or is he gonna accomplish his goal? Like that was the big thing we didn't know. Like he wanted to quit, and all, so it was just incredible.
Because I was like, even if he didn't win, right? Like even if he didn't, because okay, what's the backstory? That he was. There's a lot of backstory. He has like all these incredible stories, but the big story was him talking about how he wanted to cross Antarctica unaided by himself. No one had ever done it. Mm-hmm. And then when he got dropped off, there's another guy that's going to do it at the same time, whatever. Anyways, and
the other guy is the one you would have bet on. He's like ex-British Special Forces, absolutely insane physical condition, all of these things. And, here he is. Granted, he's an extreme athlete, but, he was outmanned.
Yeah. Anyways, there were times though I was so engaged in his story that I was like, I found myself like anxious or nervous or like, what's going to happen? It was just so good.
Crystal said she Googled it while she was watching it to
see if
he, I so wanted to know. She said,
that's cheating.
That's like my mom used to read the last chapter of a book before she would decide if she wanted to read the book. And now as an adult that reads, I'm like, that's awful. How can you? But some people just want to know the end before they start, so.
Hey, this is great. Crystal has a question. Her boyfriend is sitting here listening with her. Hi, Crystal's boyfriend. She didn't say your name.
What up, Crystal's boyfriend?
He wants to know how he can create habits or be supportive, as I've been a consultant for 7 years, and he is just now a part of my life and wants to be more involved. It's great.
That is great. So here's what I was talking to another husband today that sent me a message. His wife's a director. What I would say is, obviously, Crystal, if you've done this for 7 years, hopefully you know the area of your business that you need to grow in more, whether that's sales or recruiting or training your leaders or promoting people that have, maybe you're right on the edge, they just need a little push, whatever it might be. And then figure out what he's good at. If he's an extrovert and loves talking to people, or if he's good at systems, or whatever it might be. Look at your needs, look at his talents, and then figure out how you can meld the two. Because here's the thing, and we talk to people about this all the time. If you have a certain need in your business, but you hate that part of your business, it's going to cause you 10 times the amount of headache to try to grow in that part than something else that you would actually love and enjoy. So as husbands, spouses, boyfriends, partners, one of the best things we can do is maybe look at the things we enjoy to do that they don't and see where we can fill the gap in their business. So
I would also say though, is have him I think that oftentimes men have a different perspective on business. It's very easy for us, and I'm just saying us as women, but that's a generalization. But in general, it's very easy for women to be tied to their emotions sometimes when it comes to this business. And our emotions are important. They point the way towards things, but we also sometimes are not analytical enough. And so I think one of the things that he was really a gift to me when he started being more involved in our business was his perspective. He could see things in a different way than I could. And that was really incredibly helpful. It doesn't mean that you always agree, or it doesn't mean that he's going to fully understand something about the business that, he might not, but that's okay. I think it's just when you can have their input and their perspective, I think it's incredibly helpful. So I want to go back to Colin O'Brady. We were talking about Colin O'Brady, and somebody said, Kellyanne just said, I would never do the things he did, but he was so inspirational. And that is the point. I mean, it's not the point, but he asks the question, what is your Everest? And for him, it was literally all the mountains and all the continents and Antarctica and crazy things that I literally at one point was like, this man is insane.
He is a little bit.
This man is insane.
But it works.
But it does work. And I think we're all inspired by that because it's people stepping out to do something that feels scary. One of the things that coincides with that, like that question of what is your Everest, is something that Seth Godin said. And he said it so fast and it's like almost a passing, there was really not a ton to it, but it's really one of my favorite things I've ever heard anybody say. It's an Italian phrase. It's one of the reasons I loved it. Because if I haven't told you, I'm Italian and the hair on my body just proves it. But, well, those of you who are my newsletter subscribers, you've seen me shave my face on camera. So there's that.
Yeah. Welcome to
really
my mornings.
Yep. Okay. Anyway, so I hope you're laughing. I hope that makes you happy.
The Italian phrase.
The Italian phrase is salto mortale, which means the leap into the void. Like it's a risky or dangerous or crucial step or undertaking. And I love it because I get this picture of standing on the edge of a cliff, like jumping into the unknown. And I think that we all have that place in our business, that we all have that jump to take, that step to take. And it's fear that keeps us from doing it. It's fear that holds us back. It's the unknown. And that's what I love about it, the leap into the void. Yeah, you don't know what's out there, but you have to jump sometimes. And so maybe that's somebody who's about to join, right? Like their salto mortale is actually joining. Like that is the leap to them into the thing they don't know about, right? For others of you, it might be having the boldness to say, I'm going to earn this trip. And then not only saying it, but setting forth a plan and working the plan and doing the things and making it happen, right? Maybe you've never done that, and that is your leap. For others of you, it's going to be earning annual mentor this year, or earning annual sales, or even things like making a goal. One of my friends, Amanda, texted me the other day. She's like, I'll ask you a question. I'm like, go ask me a question. And she wanted to know how many frontline I had. And I said, why, what's your goal? She said 100. And so we start talking through that. And that is her leap into the void. Even just setting the goal to say, that's what I want. It's powerful and it's important. And when we name the things that we're chasing after and set a plan of action in place to go after them, then that's how our businesses start to change. So,
and wasn't it Jordan that talked about the Olympic athletes and how all of their goal is to medal?
No, I think it was James Clear.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
But everyone has a goal.
Yeah.
Right? Like all Olympians. No one goes to the Olympics. No one goes to the Olympics thinking like, well.
Oh, I
say that. We just watched the Eagle movie the other day where his only goal is to go to the Olympics.
Eagle, like that.
But most athletes don't go to the Olympics saying, like, I don't care if I get last place. I'm at the Olympics.
The winners have the same goal as the losers.
Yeah. It's
winners and losers have the same goal. It's the systems that separate them. The
difference in the winners and the losers is the systems.
Yep.
Goals will fail you. Systems will not, as long as you do them properly. So there's a saying
that's good
like that. I just ripped that off, but it's not goals will fail you. It's something else, but systems. Anyway, I ripped that off, but made it my own.
It's not ripping it off. It's just sharing.
But I can't sign that source. So
Yeah, it's fine.
basically a rip off.
You said I can't cite it. So I think-
Someone said a second ago, I didn't catch your name. I know it's a unique name. Elick, maybe?
Erica.
No.
Oh.
It was way up here, though. I don't want to mess with it. She said, how do I get my, I don't know if it was husband or boyfriend involved. He took catalogs one time to work and got me a new customer, but he won't do it anymore. He just doesn't get it or something like that. Here's the thing. We used to joke. We actually did a training on this, like incentivize your spouse. It's a long time ago. It was when we used to do those giant trainings. And it was kind of a running joke. Like, you know, as wives, we're not real hard to figure out. And so we did this whole
Yeah.
training.
Look, her name is Kelsey.
What?
Yeah.
Is it backwards? It's me, Kelsey. Oh, my name is backwards. Why is your name backwards? Okay, Kelsey. I was going to say that's the most unique name I've ever seen. Eastlick Crake. Okay.
Y'all, you
I'm
can't-
ADD.
you
My
can't
ADD is on
distract me with
fire.
that. It's like squirrels.
But we joked in this training about how, and I think it was Jamie Sullins or somebody that talked about, I don't know if it was Jamie. I don't want to say this about her if it wasn't her, but she would probably say something like this. But she was like, yeah, when I wanted him to help, I told him what I was
She
willing to
would
do
say
for him.
Shoot.
And it was this whole thing, and we all laughed, and it was funny. But then we heard people later say, like, oh my gosh, it worked. Like, I told him, like, oh, you want date night? You want this? You want that? Like, okay, do this. Help me. Do catalogs. Help me. And that's not the only way to do it, obviously, but
Don't bang your
it's a
hands
really
around so much.
effective way. And another way is just if you guys sit down and create some goals together, and you have some dreams together, and there's some things that you want to do that will also benefit them, places you want to go, things you want to see, bucket list type stuff, and you show them. That was a half bird. Sorry about that. And you show them how this business can help you reach those goals and check those things off of your bucket list and all of those things, then it's a lot easier for them to get on board. I mean, ultimately, we talk all the time, and I talk to husbands all the time. Ralph Lauren isn't mad that 75 to 90, depending on the year of his revenue, comes in through female buyers. And a lot of it comes in through lingerie and panties and leggings and things that are very, very much feminine, but he's not mad about it because he's accomplishing a lot of his goals. As Scentsy husbands, we can't look at this business as if we help out, we're giving up our man card, or, you know, we're compromising who we are as men to, you know, sell wax to people or, you know, peddle stuff for my wife, however you want to reference it. But that's not what it is at all. Like, this business can truly allow you to be better as a couple, as a family, you know, and work something together, which not a lot of people get to do.
Well, I have something to say about that. So I think the important thing about all that too is if you are trying to get your spouse on board, one of the biggest ways to push them away is to cause them to resent this business. And you may not know that you're doing it, but it is such a slippery slope, and it's far too easy sometimes for you to overwork and not give them the attention and the time and the words and the affirmation and all of the other things that they need, that we all need as human beings. But for us, there was a season in our just in our life that was incredibly challenging because I did not have good boundaries. And I don't think there is any excuse for you not to have good boundaries. I don't care what goal you're trying to reach. I don't care because it is the lack of boundaries that destroys relationships. And I'm not on board for you neglecting what your spouse or your family needs to get there, quote unquote, like the place that there is never a there. Like, so consistently and actively work your business, but put some healthy boundaries around it. And I know that there are some of you who are saying, I can't, whatever, you have all the excuses. And the thing is, the boundaries don't have to look a certain way. Like, it doesn't mean that you don't work your business after 9. Maybe it means you always work your business after 9. Maybe you work your business from 9 to 11 every night, and those are the boundaries. Maybe it means you work it every morning, or you work it at lunchtime on your break at work or whatever. And maybe it looks different week to week. But the point is, I think, for you to have a mutually respectful relationship around this business with your spouse, there have to be healthy boundaries in place. And that comes from communication and talking through, what do you like? This is what I'm working towards. And the flip side of that is, if you want your spouse or your significant other to respect this as a business and be a part of it, treat it like one. It's so many people, they want their spouse to get it. They want them to see the potential, but they don't see the potential because you're not allowing them to see the potential, because you're not doing the right work. You might be doing work, but you're not doing the right work. And so that's something you have to guard, like, that you've just got to be careful of. Yeah.
I mean, Allie, when she first started, I didn't really get it for a while because I saw the frustrated side, because she would put on her Scentsy face or her happy business face or whatever at her parties and her get-togethers and all of those things. And then she would come home and I saw back then it was way different, but I saw the frustrating ordering process, and I saw all the handwritten receipts and all of the paperwork and all the stuff that she had to do. And I just saw the exhaustion. And as you guys know, when you first start off, it's a lot of that kind of work. And although the monetary gain is better than nothing, it's not always phenomenal. She had parties early on that had 1 or 2 people show up, and that's frustrating. As a husband, seeing her work for hours on the front end and then clean up and hours on the back end and product displays and all of this stuff, and she only made $100 or $150. I'm like, babe, you could work at Sonic and make more than that. Like, what are you doing? And so a lot of times as husbands, we see the bad part of the business, which is necessary, but it's hard for us to watch, knowing all the time you're spending, but we don't see the glorified side.
Well, and when you don't understand yet or haven't seen what exponential growth looks like, right? So yes, initially the hourly money that I was making, you're right. Like, I could have been working at Starbucks getting health insurance, yeah. So anyways.
So I saw somebody say it's all about the money to the husband. It's all about the money. I have to disagree with that a little bit. Depending on the stage you are in your life, and depending on your experience with money, and depending on, a lot of different things.
And your personality.
But a lot of it's based on, past, how you were brought up, and, whether you had money or didn't, and all those things, and whether you view it as a tool or a necessity and all those things. I mean, I know people that the money is not a big part of it, but the feeling of belonging, the connection that they made with their spouse, and being able to work together in those things, those are
the travel
way higher. The travel is way higher than the money. And then somebody said something about love languages, know your spouse's love language. That's huge. Yeah. So if any of you aren't familiar, the love languages test, you can do them for free online. Mm-hmm. Figure out your love language and figure out your spouse's love language, and then use that to feed into them when you need to encourage them to help you in some way in your business. So if your spouse
I am not against bribery, and you shouldn't be either.
And I am 100% okay with that. But
he's willing to be bribed.
I'm willing to be bribed. Use me. It's fine. But if you speak your spouse's love language, so if your spouse is like, my love language is physical touch, my number one love language, head and shoulders above the rest of them.
He doesn't even have any other love languages.
They don't even exist to me. She says nice things to me. Great. She touches the back of my neck and like scratches me. My foot starts tapping like a dog. So if you know your spouse's love languages and you can show appreciation to them in that way when talking about your business, then you're the chances of you connecting with them and getting them to want to help are way higher. So if your spouse's love language is words of affirmation, when you see them make any kind of effort to help you in your business or give you time to help your business, you have to shower them with words. Tell them, oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's absolutely incredible. You have no idea how much that takes off my plate. As men, we want to be the fixers and the rescuers and all of that of our bride. God created us to be, He created us to kill something, drag it home, feed our family, protect our family, carry our wife when she can't stand on her own feet. Like, that's just how we're made in a lot of ways. And so if there's a problem presented and your husband fixes it, to appreciate him in his love language is the best way you can do it. And you will see results come from that. I had a conversation with one of my good friends a couple of days ago. Him and his wife are just having some hard times in their marriage, like a lot of people. And I started talking to him about the ways he's appreciating her when she does the things that he needs her to do, and vice versa. And he knows his wife's love languages, but he was missing, because a lot of times we default to showing them love in the way we feel love. So like when I'm trying to appreciate her, a lot of times I'll touch her and do all of that. Touch is really low on her love languages. So although she knows it means that I feel connected to her and she appreciates that, it's never going to affect her the same way as when I give her words, or I write her notes, or I tell her all the great things about what she is and how she is. So know your spouse's love languages and then focus on that. And a lot of the people that we hear say, they just won't get on board. I just don't understand it. Well, how are you appreciating them? How are you filling their buckets in their love languages?
Okay, I'm going to shift gears a little bit, because why not? Because we didn't have a topic or a theme. I just want to talk about something. I want to go back a little bit to something Seth Godin said, and I think it was, if I were to take a chunk of something that was my favorite, it's like Halloween decor. But something Seth Godin said about being an artist, and he said the words, "We don't need copies, we need originals. Create art." And I know that it's so hard for so many of you. One, so many people who are not like what we would say, I don't know, I don't want to say real artists, but like if you don't paint or dance or, art, it's hard to think of yourself as an artist. But I truly believe that as we learn more about who we are individually and we step more into knowing ourselves, that there is this call to create, and there is this call to not be a copy, but be an original. A lot of times we see people when they come into the business sort of copycatting, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. And because it's necessary, right? Like they don't know what to do yet, so they do what they see other people doing. But as you get your feet like kind of grounded in this and you figure out who you are in this business, you have the opportunity to actually create. And I think when we start to stand more solidly in who we are and tell a story that is personal and authentic and vulnerable and real to who we are, that is the art that moves people. That is the art that connects people to us. And I just think it's something to think about. I think as you're kind of having all the ideas when it comes to your business and running through, I want to earn this trip or have these big goals and all the things, part of your job is to be original. And I realize that that's a hard thing to do in a place where the easiest thing to do is just copy what somebody else did. And so anyways, I wanted to talk about that because I think it's good.
Yeah. And that's hard. I mean, it's really hard to look at your business. You see all these other people thriving in certain ways or seemingly thriving based on what they're posting and, how they look on social media and all of those things. And it's hard to say, okay, well, how am I unique in this space? But we went to a really good training while we were there, indirect marketing.
No, attraction marketing.
Attraction marketing. Also, which is indirect marketing.
Yeah.
I thought it was called indirect marketing.
It's called attraction marketing.
Indirectly attractive, whatever. That's how she refers to me. He's indirectly attractive. But I think that one thing that we walked away saying, one way we can assist people in teaching this, and if you don't know what attraction marketing is, basically finding things that you're passionate about and post about those things a lot and how you can bring value to other people's lives.
It's about building relationships online through things that you are actually engaged in.
Right, that you can bring value to other people. Yeah. For example, we know somebody that does a ton of Disney trips, and they are a pro at finding all the cheats and all the things and all the discounts and all the ways to have incredible Disney vacations on a budget. And
Joel's just laughing.
She posts a lot about it, and she has gotten swaths of people to attract to her that want to go on Disney vacations for a discount.
So let me tell this story.
I'm not finished.
No, okay.
See, indirectly attracted. But one thing we walked away saying was a good way for people to figure out kind of what they're unique in and what they're original in is literally list out the 10 things that are fact about you. The first 10 things that come to your mind. You're a mom, you're a sister, you're a wife, you're a you lead a Bible study group, you love going on campouts with your kids, whatever it is that, it doesn't matter how much value you think you can bring to the world in this area, just 10 things that first come to your mind that are facts about you, and then look at them and figure out the 3, 4, or 5 things that you're most passionate about that you could talk all day about, and dive into those. No matter how unique they are, the more unique, the better in some ways, because the people that will be attracted to it will zone in on it if it's really unique. And then in that, that's your brand. That's the way that you bring value to the world. And that's something that you're passionate about, something that you love, in a way that you can speak to others in their own space without making it look like you're asking them for your business. For
So
their business.
Jill, so first of all, the reason Jill's laughing at us is because Jill is my attraction marketing mentor. She taught me everything that I know, but really she has. And she said your Instagram highlights can be your categories. They are what connects you to people. And so, I mean, I think if you look at anybody doing
Someone
it
said
well,
Frozen. Just put Frozen if we're still
they
Frozen.
were talking
Everybody
about
else.
Frozen, like the show, the movie.
Oh,
That's what we're talking about.
oh yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Never mind. See, Jill said, great explanation.
Having a pat on your back just from Jill.
Coming from Jill, that
That's-
means a lot.
That's a huge.
Because sometimes I say things like that, and she's like, babe, that
Okay.
you missed it.
So I want to talk about a couple. I want to talk.
Oh, you know what, though? She might have been talking about how I'm indirectly attractive.
Oh, no.
I'm kidding. It's like you have to get to know him to think he's cute.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyways, so our friend that we met, who we met at Superstar Director Summit, and we were having this conversation about attraction marketing. And I said, because we were talking about social media and how so many people struggle with what the perception of their business is on social media. And I have been saying this for years now, that direct sales in general has become like, we are like the flyers on the side, like not the flyers, the billboards on the side of the highway. Like nobody's looking at them. They're just driving right past them. I'm not calling the number, because I can't think of anything catchy, but you know what I mean? Like,
Well, I saw an ad the other day that popped up that said you can literally advertise. You know those big digital billboards? You can advertise for as little as 1 cent per ad. And I was like, man, 1 cent per ad. So I kind of calculated how many that is over a day on a digital billboard that probably costs tens of thousands of dollars, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's $100 or $200 or $300 in revenue a day. And I'm like, that's nothing. But that's because certain categories, people like billboards. For the most part, nobody reads them.
nobody's reading billboard. So because of people doing this not well on social media when it comes to direct sales, it looks just like billboards on the side of the highway. Nobody's paying attention to it. And I think we have to be very careful of that. And so we were having this conversation at Summit with our friend that loves Disney. And we were talking, she's like, I'm struggling. Like nobody's responding to my stuff anymore. And I'm like, well, what are you posting? And it's typical, like, well, I'm sharing when things come out. I'm sharing, like, I'll think, guess what? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. That's something reserved for your VIP group. That's something
It's
reserved
not
for
that
your
nobody
text.
cares, but it's white noise.
It's white noise. Like essentially nobody cares.
We've been in direct sales for 12 years. A bunch of our friends on social are people that are connected in direct sales in other areas, other companies. And I literally just do this half the time when I see, their new product, or they just got back from convention and they're launching this, and this is all natural now. And this, the FDA barely cleared it, but it won't kill you, and this and that. And you're like, you just do this, because it really does appear like they're just trying to sell you something. We get messages all the time from people in direct sales like, hey, I saw your business is doing really good. And they get so close. They're like building value in what they see in you. And then they're like, please buy from me. And you're like, okay, never mind. And so it's becoming this diluted pool of a lot of people saying the same things. Some of them are original and some of them create their own stuff and it looks a little bit original. But for the most part, you feel like you're trying to get sold. People are trying to sell you something.
So I think the shift comes when you shift from this, what you thought was marketing, right? Like you thought, well, that's what I thought I was supposed to do, to what is actually marketing, in that you're attracting people to you or pulling people to you, not pushing people from you, but pulling people to you because you're adding value. And so we start talking about Disney, and I'm like, what do you love to do? And she's like, well, we go to Disney like how many times a year did she say?
3 or 4.
Or more than that.
Well, they've been 15
They've
times
been
in like
15
4
times.
years or something.
And I said, how have you paid for it? She said, with my Scentsy business. I'm like, okay, so here is the whole thing.
That's huge.
Like, this is the thing. Like, you need to be adding value in this space, and very slowly and in very wise and like calculated ways, incorporating your business into that as you're building relationships because you're adding value. Like,
Right.
So that's what it's about, I think. So, no, we just got off on a tangent.
No, but it's a good tangent. I mean, that's something that one of our biggest takeaways of leaving SFR was, I'm so glad that they're teaching on attraction marketing, because it's something. What's funny is, if you're doing it really well, people will start to ask if you still do Scentsy.
Yeah.
Or if you still do whatever your business is. We had, when we first kind of took the name off of our social and all of that, because we were really trying to do attraction marketing, and we just wanted to bring value to a space without people looking at our info tab and seeing, oh, well, okay, their end game is they're going to try to sell me something. And we had people message us like, oh my gosh, you're not talking about it. Are you still doing it anymore? And at first we our butt kind of puckered up a little bit, because we were like, oh, we don't want to appear like we're not doing it anymore, because we're trying to lead all these people. But that was really just an affirmation that what we were doing it right.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't appear like we were trying to sell anybody anything, but out of doing that, our sales have stayed really consistent, really good. We're still getting recruits. But we're not blasting that to everybody. So a lot of what we're getting is even higher quality.
We're getting more recruits than we were before.
Right. And so it's higher quality as well.
Yeah.
So it's not people that are just doing it because, we were the ninth person that asked them and they just fell on the sword.
I'm just going to tell you what Jill says. Jill's my mentor, so you can just listen. She says, I focus 95% on all of my hobbies, vulnerabilities, adversity, strengths, and then just an eighth of, and I sell wax. And then she also said, you should really try to avoid saying what company your business is. So this sounds so counterintuitive. And you're like, what do you mean I shouldn't? But you are not trying to sell a product. You are trying to build a relationship. And when people have a relationship with you, if they love you and they love whatever you're about, they're going to engage in the product that you have or whatever you have to offer. And so the crazy thing is, actually, I was posting things about, I was doing stories at Reunion from the final night, the last night or whatever. And I had somebody message me that started following me because of the content that I'm putting out there, right? And what my, bio on Instagram says. And she had no idea that I sold Scentsy. She messaged me and says, what direct sales company are you with? And to me, that's a testament of you're doing it right, because then we've had a conversation for the past 5 days that we never had before. Yep. Because you're pushing people into curiosity about what it is you're doing. So anyways. Yeah.
And here's the other thing. We all at some point, I mean, if you've done this long enough, you've hit that wall in any business, in any company. I don't care what it is, no matter how passionate you are about it, there's a point where you hear a wall, because all of it comes in cycles. There will be a point between your second year and your fifth year in this business that you'll feel like you're saying the same things and you're doing the same things. And it's the same thing, different day, but you're getting less results. And that's when people start to doubt whether they're cut out to do this. And that's when people start to pull back and make themselves less vulnerable to being successful in it, because they're afraid of the hurt that might come on the backside of it. And that's where you've got to sometimes reinvent and say, okay, I've done this same thing. It worked really well initially, because for a lot of us, when you got into it, your circle of influence, you were the person that sold that product and you were it. And so you immediately had some success. You got some recruits. It was exciting. It was new. It was fun. And then it hits a stage. It's a lot like marriage. There's a point in a marriage where once you're out of the honeymoon phase, you're like, oh crap,
it's work, y'all.
Now I've got this roommate and she's cute most days, but some days I want to, I don't know why I signed up for this, because it's not what I thought it was going to be. And if you can push through that and see the value that it can bring to your life, if you get a little bit creative, you do things a little bit different, then it can be really good. Yeah. And that's where, if you're bringing value, there's nothing wrong. If there's things in your life that are unique to you, and we talked to people this week, and it was everything from they have a special needs child. The Disney thing came up again.
We hear the most amazing stories this week from y'all. And I do just want to say, like, those of you that come up to me with tears in your eyes is like the biggest gift to me. I'm not going to lie, it's weird. And I even told him, like, it's weird because I know that my role and what I committed to do is to show up here once a week, right, on a Thursday and talk to my computer screen, right? Like by myself in my office, like it's kind of weird. But what I think God's doing through that is touching you in a way that you need. And so to me, like the stories you come and tell us, like they're just honestly like they're gifts.
But okay. And I know what you meant by what you just said, but you said bringing what you need. Here's the thing. Most of the time, the topic she talks about is what she needs to hear.
Yeah.
And so
100%.
Don't think that, I mean, she's amazing, but don't think like she sits here and is like, how can I solve all the world's problems? I'm going to talk about this. That's not how it is at all. Like there's days where hours before this video goes on, she's struggling with something and she's like, okay, I'm going to name this a lie and figure out the truth. And then I'm going to talk about that tonight because someone else is probably fighting the same battle. And it's given us an outlet to not only want to overcome the lies that we feel like are in our head sometimes, or the inner, what do you call it? The inner critic.
I named my inner critic yesterday, y'all.
No, I don't know if you should say the name. You might offend somebody.
It's got to be somebody's
Is
name.
anyone on here? I'm not going to say that this is the name, but is there anyone on here named Linda? Oh crap, there is right there.
Dadgummit.
The only reason she named it Linda, because we always say, listen, Linda, listen, Linda. Do you remember there was a YouTube video that went viral a while back? And so
my little kid is talking to this one, like, Linda, listen.
Yeah, so she's
So cute.
always talking about this inner critic inside of her that's trying to tell her, and she goes, listen to me. So she's always like trying to make her inner critic listen to her, so we named it Linda.
Listen, Linda.
Really sorry if your name's Linda. We tried to come up with a unique name that
There's
was uncommon.
nothing like it's always somebody's name.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But whatever you're going through, sometimes this has been an outlet for her to know that if I don't overcome this battle, then I can't bring that to this space and bring value to somebody else. So it reinforces her to try to fight through it. And so it's not that, I mean, as amazing as she is, it's not that she just sits here all day and writes out these like proverbs and solutions to the world's problems. It's really just whatever battle she's in, she knows that some of you probably are too. And so we bring that.
I think we were telling a different story, talking about something else, and then I interrupted to say thank you to them. And then but I want to go back to something that I've seen several times here where somebody has said, what do I do when I need to keep my private life private on social? And I think there's this misconception that your social media account that you use to grow your business has to air out all your dirty laundry or even give the private parts of your life, and it does not. You don't have to put your kids on social media. You don't have to put anything about where you live. You don't have to put none of that. I think the better question becomes, what are you interested in and where do you bring value? So it is a shift in the way that we use social media. I think some of us are still in the mindset of, like, when launched, I was in college and all you did was post pictures on it and
we were on
status updates.
MySpace way before we were on Facebook.
Yeah, MySpace and then Facebook.
I'd have a college.
Hey, what
email.
happened to those? Are they still around?
I don't know. I heard they are.
Oh my God, I
Justin
should
Timberlake
look.
bought MySpace or something as well.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Anyways,
that's probably a lot.
But like that's what we did with social media. And so if you haven't yet shifted that thought process to how do I use this to grow my business, I want you to really start to brainstorm and think like you can absolutely live a private, like be private about things that need to be private life and not put all that on social media. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
It needs to be more focused on where can I add value and where can I build community and where can I build family. It's like Jill said a second ago that when you are adding value and you are being vulnerable and you are sharing and you are connecting to people, they want to be a part of your family. It's not even about what you're selling. They want to be a part of what you have. And so that's it. I think what I would say about that, you don't have to have, you have to have a personal profile like on Facebook, but you're like, depending on what platform you build on, you don't have to share everything on a personal page. You can have a page, a business page that is your name that you don't really talk about Cincy on, but that you're building relationships on and you're adding value and you're creating consistent content on. So I hope that makes sense. So.
Well, and also this is something that this actually was born out of a training we did with some of our church leaders about their presence on social media, and then we've kind of adapted it to business. But there's a big difference, and Allie's talked about this before, but there's a big difference in transparency and vulnerability.
Authentic, right? Did you say it right?
Oh, transparency and authenticity. But
Yes.
mixed in is the vulnerability. That
No.
isn't all of it.
You're right. It's transparency and vulnerability. You said it
But-
right the first time.
Regardless of which is which.
Brene Brown talks about it.
And depending on who you talk to, those two things can kind of be intertwined. But when you're being vulnerable online, or you're talking about something that you're either struggling with or coming out of a struggle with, it's very important that, and we live in this world where social media, people think it's the place to take their problems, and that's not always a great look, especially when you're trying to grow a business and grow something that people want to follow. But just be very cautious. If you're in the middle of a battle, if you're in the middle of, I'll use divorce as an example. If you're in the middle of a divorce and it's in the ugly, brutal part, and everything in you is wanting to smear your spouse and is wanting to become the hero and all of those things, just be very careful what you share, because you're painting a picture that is going to be there forever, and it will adjust over time. But it's very important when you're sharing and being vulnerable and wanting to help other people that are struggling with the same thing. We oftentimes see people post something that they're still in the heat of it.
Yeah.
And they say things like, because I know there's lots of you going through this too, I just want to give you encouragement. But then the post says, he's this, he's that, who does he think he is, blah, blah, blah. And no one's reading that going like,
I want to be friends with her.
I want to support her. No, they're thinking like, I hope
And-
she doesn't
and-
message me because she's crazy. But it is important, once you're on the side of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel,
When you're on the
or
other
on the
side,
victory side,
or you have an element of hope that you can like share.
then you share, even if you're not at the end of it. But if you're
Right.
on the uphill swing, that's when you look back and you can, with a little more wisdom, say, hey, if you're in the heat of it, here's what I know. I know that as long as you stay true to who you are
Mm-hmm.
and know who God's called you to be, or whatever it might be, then you can share out of a place of growth and strength, and not a place of still hurting, still vulnerable. So just be very careful when
There's a
people
really
say,
fine line. Like,
people get authenticity confused with
They get-
airing out their dirty laundry.
Yeah.
And that's not always there. Here's the thing. Don't hold those feelings in. Find a mentor, find a friend, find somebody that you can vent to. We all
Go to
need to do that
therapy.
at times. Go to therapy.
please.
But social media is not the place to put other people on blast, to call other people out, or to
Yeah.
try to boost yourself up on the shoulders of others. And that's not a good look. And that's not being authentic. That's being vulnerable before you're ready to be vulnerable about something. So just
Yeah.
be careful with that.
Yeah, that's good. Jill said, I don't think I can see it anymore, but she said something about she was nervous about sharing her story of breast implant illness on social media, but it's something she's shared openly and it's talked about, and she wants her implants out and is working towards all that. And the connections that she's made from it have been so strong, and like other people going through the same thing.
Well, that's the thing. The more unique the thing that you share
Yeah.
is, the people that will then connect with you on that topic are already so bought into you, because a lot of times you might be the only person that ever gets in
Well,
front of
y'all,
them that's sharing about
But
that
think
thing.
about it. It's our weaknesses that connect us. It's not. I want you to think about anybody that you like, trust, that you look up to, that you feel connected to. It's not because you've only heard about their victories. It's because you've heard about the things they've walked through. It's because they've shared with you their feelings and their hopes and their dreams and the battles that they've fought through. Like, our weakness is actually what connects us. It's never been our strength. And so there is a place for it, but there's a way to do it well. So
Yeah.
anyways,
And then one thing I heard one of the speakers say this week, and it was maybe the only thing this last week that really made me like, oh, that's not right, because that's not what we know is true. Somebody said, be the hero of your story. and we'll kind of end with this. You've heard Allison talk about it before.
Wait, can you remember this? I want you to end with that, but I'm going to say two things. I've seen a few of you say like I have a hard time figuring out where to add what value I add or what to share. And one of the things that I would really suggest that you do is really spend some time getting to know yourself. And this sounds stupid and cliche and dumb, but even just the simple practice of journaling on a normal basis, of like getting your thoughts out on paper, because we consume so much information all the time, but we don't take time to think for ourselves. We are just a result of all the things that we consume, and we are not actively fleshing out what that means for us, or what opinion we actually have about that. And a lot of times in the middle of that, I think we lose ourselves. And we lose ourselves in so many other ways, as spouses, as parents, as we let go of things to take care of responsibilities, right? So I would suggest to you to really dive into like getting to know yourself again. What are the things that you love? Who are you? Like all of those things. So I think journaling through some things, going to see a counselor, like there's a lot of things. There's all that. The other thing, Jill, I would love to do a training with you, but I'm only doing it from Florida. So there's that. That was me inviting myself. Actually, it's not. Jill and I talked yesterday and today, and I want, who doesn't want to go to Florida? Okay, so that's all I have.
Florida.
So
we heard a speaker say this week or last week, be the hero of your story. And I'm not sure if it was in a breakout session. I think it was in a breakout. I actually remember the breakout session. And it doesn't matter what one. Like, they did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, I remember.
But we so often feel like we are supposed to be the hero of our story. And so in Facebook stories, I see it all the time. In social media posts, I see it constantly. And a lot of times when we're coming into victory out of a struggle, we think it's inspiring for other people to let them see that you can be the hero coming out of hurt. And as much as the world tells you that is true, that's a fun story to read. But 95% of people in the world don't think they're capable of being that. So it's so much better when you're doing attraction marketing to be the guide. If you're the hero, people don't necessarily want to do business with you, and they're not necessarily drawn to you. It's a great thing to read about, but it's not always a great thing if they want to be a part of it. But when you're the guide saying, here's what this has done, it can be that for you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you're just the guide. You're the one taking them from here to there. That's when they want to be a part of it. So as you post, as you talk about this attraction marketing stuff, as you try to figure out how to be authentic without doing it in the heat of battle, do it in a way that guides people from the hurt to the victory, as opposed to saying, look at what I did. I am woman, hear me roar, like all of those things. Because as fun as that is to post, and as fun as it is to get all those likes and have all those people say, great job, you're inspiring, whatever, I would much rather people post, knowing they can do that too, and that you're just the guide in helping them get there. So Don Miller, if y'all don't know about him, look up a guy named Don Miller. He has a company called, mine just went blank, Story Brand. And he talks all about being the guide, not being the hero. And it's incredible.
Comes to marketing.
When it comes to marketing and marketing yourself and marketing your business. And we've learned a lot from that. And that's the thing, even on these things, like I was going to close with that. I'll close with this. It's hard for us to go to these big events in some ways because, honest to God, we're not deserving of the pedestal some of you guys put us on. Like, we really just come here talking to you about things that we've struggled with and that we want you to be able to see victory on the other side of. And some people do put us up on this strange pedestal where they're like shaking, nervous, crying when they come and talk to us. We really are just normal, flawed, sinful, all the things people. But part of that tells me we haven't maybe done a good enough job of being the guide. And it continues to make me want to step back and not be this like pedestal standing person, but just step back and be a help in any way that I can with other people's stories. But that's something I think for us that we want to continue to do in any way we can. We want to help you guys if there's topics and things that you guys want to discuss and need help with, like we want to continue to do that. But I don't ever want my prayer every day over her and over us. And if you're not religious, I'm sorry, but my prayer every day is let it be more about God and less about us. Like I don't want people to see us as the hero. I want them to see us as people that have hit our knees every day in prayer and just kind of given it to God and said, you're the hero, not us, but use us in any way that you want. And that's what we're supposed to be for you guys. That's what you're supposed to be for your team, your family, your spouses, all of those things. The people that want to be the hero are the people that are never going to be happy, because there's always going to be somebody that's doing something better, that's more successful, that's making more money, and there can only be one Captain America. And if you fall short, then you're not happy. But the stories that we get the most from every night when we went home last week, we talked about a story we heard from somebody where something we said or something we nudged somebody to do allowed them victory in their own life. Those were the stories that brought tears to our eyes. And those are the stories that keep us doing what we're doing. So just know, be the guide. Don't try to be the hero, because being a guide, you get to see victory in hundreds of people. Trying to be the hero, it's all on your shoulders, and you're never going to be the best at everything.
Well, and you'll always struggle, I think, when and we don't intentionally try to make ourselves the hero. I mean, nobody does that. But I think when you find yourself in a place where you are constantly comparing yourself to everybody else, when it's never enough, when you're always reaching for more, and there's a fine line with that too. Like I'm here for always growing, but there also has to be a place where you find contentment. And I think when we become obsessed unintentionally with being a hero, that we can't find fulfillment there. And so I think, yeah, I just agree. But
Yeah.
I was just adding to that too.
So be the guide in your story. Don't try to be the hero. You will end up being a hero to so many people close to you, because that's in so many of you guys. You're incredible. We hear these stories from you guys every week, and so many on a week like last week. And it just makes us so proud to be a part of something that's so much bigger than any one of us. So thank you, every one of you that came up to us and gave us a hug and told your story, and that we were blessed to be able to take a picture with or whatever. You guys are all the reason that we're still doing this. And honestly, some of your stories shook us in a way that I didn't even know would happen. There were multiple stories that we're still talking about that were like, can you believe that they overcame that, or that they are living in victory out of that thing that probably would have crushed any one of us. So
Yeah.
Thank you guys for sharing your stories. That fuels us up like you wouldn't believe.
So, hey, thanks for joining me.
You're welcome.
It's fun. I feel less pressure when you're here.
Yeah, because I want to talk so much.
Yeah, you say
I'm sorry,
things.
I'm chatty. Sometimes she makes me leave the office. She's like, hey, I need to get work done. I need to leave. I'm like, okay. So,
He's easily distracted too, but you weren't chatty at all. You just had good
Squirrel.
words to say.
Okay.
That's not chatty. That's
No, I know.
distracted.
no.
Carol, I cannot believe I didn't see you. I saw you on
Hey, Carol.
stage. It's a disservice to me. I needed a Carol hug. Anyways,
Was Carol that I was looking for?
who you were looking for?
I think it was.
Yeah.
Trying to remember the name of the lady. Carol, you have a friend that lost her. What's the alligator buddy called?
I don't know.
Oh, anyway, she lost her buddy. She was in a wheelchair. She lost her buddy at one of the trainings, and I pushed her around trying to find you.
Oh,
And we ended up finding the buddy, and she found it and all the things, so it was fine. But we were chasing you down in a couple different rooms, so it was fun. And I don't think she knew who I was at all, which was great. So
that's great.
it was fun.
Anyways, love y'all.
Love y'all.
We'll be back live next Thursday night at 8:30 Central Time. Hope you join us or catch the replay. Thanks for joining us. See you later. Oh, I have to turn it off now.
I wish we could just like blink and it would turn
Yeah.
off.
I need like a,
What was it, that Bewitched, that'll show that she would
oh,